News 2. More news in less time every time. Today at 5.
Now on CBS News Up to the Minute, a warm reception in Brazil can't keep the president away from the heat in Washington.
Removing industries.
And grieving the loss of a country boy. Good morning from CBS News in New York. This is Up to the Minute. I'm Mika Brzezinski.
I'm Rick Jackson. Thanks for joining us this morning. President Clinton explores South Brazil today, part of his first trip to South America. Last night he was welcomed in Brasilia with a nocturnal display of dancing and singing. Mr. Clinton then attended a state dinner hosted by Brazil's President Cardoso. Yesterday in Venezuela, the president was on a crusade against drugs for free trade. CBS News White House correspondent Scott Pelley is traveling with the president.
In Caracas, they reached for the American dream. In a sacred square, Venezuelans came to hear the president's gospel. Free trade lifts all people.
You are moving industries into the competitive free market. You are opening your doors to foreign investment to create new opportunities for Venezuelan workers. And your determination will pay off in more jobs, higher incomes, and better prospects for your children in the coming century.
By the year 2005, President Clinton said there should be free trade from Alaska to Argentina. But a glance out the window of Air Force One shows how hard that will be. This symbol of the 21st century skimmed the top of Maria Elena's 19th century home.
The President of the United States says that if we trade more, everyone will live better.
No, it's going to be bad as ever, she says. They'll never fix it. They offer castles, but then there's nothing. She has a point. 90% of Venezuelans bring in less than $20 a day. Therefore, they have little money for American goods, but a big appetite for U.S. jobs. There are castles in Caracas, of course. Venezuela is the largest oil exporter to the U.S. This is the emerging South America Mr. Clinton is trying to encourage, the one with a tiny but growing middle class, the one that replaced dictators with democracies. But for Maria Elena, none of that has trickled down. It was nice the president flew over, she said, but it doesn't put meat on her table. And so critics argue that South America is simply not ready for free and open trade. But on every stop during his tour, Mr. Clinton will argue that trade spreads prosperity on both sides of the equator. Scott Pelley, CBS News, with the president in Caracas.
And wherever the president goes, questions about campaign finance are sure to follow. CBS News correspondent Phil Jones has the latest from Washington.
The goal of any White House is to manage the news. But this is going to be one of those frustrating weeks for the Clinton White House, since much of the news is beyond its control. There's the videotape problem. First there were 44. Now they've found on the National Archive shelves at least another 100 tapes connected to Clinton-Gore campaign activities inside and outside the White House. Congress and the Justice Department should get the tapes today, but no White House promises. And while Mr. Clinton is in Latin America trying to focus attention on foreign policy, he faces domestic uncertainty over his Attorney General. Janet Reno has told the world she's mad at being sandbagged on the tapes. Tomorrow, Reno is being hauled before the House Judiciary Committee. In 1995, she had to explain her orders that ended in disaster in Waco. Now she'll have to justify why an independent counsel hasn't been named to investigate the president. Reno insists she has made no final decision. Wednesday is the deadline for her to decide whether or not to take the next step, which could end up in the appointment of an independent counsel in the case of the president. But at least Mr. Clinton's timing is good. He's out of the country. Phil Jones, CBS News, Washington.
In Little Rock, the sister of Paula Jones is expected to give sworn testimony today concerning Jones's sexual harassment lawsuit against the president. Paula Jones and her husband accompanied Jones' mother in and out of depositions yesterday, where her mother testified about the alleged 1991 encounter.
How long are you going to be at this, Miss Jones?
The Army has a new top soldier. Robert Hall became the Sergeant Major of the Army yesterday, responsible for advising on matters related to enlisted personnel. Hall has been on active duty 27 years. He served in Operation Desert Storm as well as in Germany and in Korea. Hall replaces former Sergeant Major Gene McKinney, who is facing court-martial on sexual misconduct charges.
The Mexican Army has taken over the handling of food and other aid to victims of Hurricane Pauline. In shelters around Acapulco, the lines are long as people wait for clean water. A few cases of cholera have been diagnosed, and doctors are worried the disease will spread. Hundreds of people have died in the flooding and chaos during Pauline's sweep up the Pacific coast last week. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be back.
And we'll have more news for you. Stay with us. You're watching Up to the Minute.
There's an incredible freedom that comes with using a cellular phone.
I got all my guys working on it right now.
And once you've experienced it, there's no turning back. Now, through this special TV offer, you can receive a Motorola flip phone with AT&T wireless service for just pennies a day. Now everyone can enjoy the freedom of a personal cellular phone. You can make a call anywhere or get a call anytime. Stuck in traffic? Call and change that meeting before you're late.
Yeah, John, let's change the meeting to 10.
Change of plan?
Call me if you need me.
No problem with the flip phone. Can't remember those directions? Just give a call.
Okay, right on Oak Street.
It's that easy. Got car trouble?
I can't get my car to start. Can you come and help?
Help is just a call away. You'll receive a Motorola flip phone activated with AT&T wireless service. Order today and we'll even give you 100 minutes of free off-peak airtime each month for 3 months. Don't waste a beautiful day waiting for that call. Put it in your pocket or purse and make the most of your time. And with this special TV offer, there are no hassles and no high-pressure salesmen to deal with. Get your Motorola flip phone for the amazing price of just $19.95, delivered direct to your door within a few days, ready to use. You'll also receive the desktop charger and this beautiful leather case, a $25 value, absolutely free. And remember, by ordering today, you get 100 minutes of free off-peak airtime each month for 3 months. It's an incredible offer. Now everyone can enjoy the freedom of a personal cellular phone for just pennies a day. So what are you waiting for? The Motorola flip phone with AT&T wireless service. Don't miss out. Call now.
There has never been a better time to go cellular. And with the Motorola 550 from AT&T, you'll have everything you need. Call 1-800-372-7476. Credit card customers only. Call 1-800-372-7476. Along with your phone, you get the desktop charger, a free leather case, free activation, and 100 free off-peak minutes per month for 3 months. Call 1-800-372-7476.
Rocky Mountain High. Now's life is full of wonder, but his heart still knows some fear of a simple thing he cannot comprehend. Why they try to tear the mountains down to bring in a couple more people, more scars upon the land.
Singer-songwriter John Denver is also being remembered this morning as an activist whose lyrics were just one way he expressed his love for Mother Earth. Denver cared deeply about this planet and was active on a number of fronts, from saving the whales to restoring our nation's forests. In 1976, at the height of his career, Denver co-founded the WinStar Foundation, a nonprofit environmental research and education organization. Cheryl Charles is chair of the WinStar Board of Trustees. She knew and worked with John Denver more than 20 years. She joins us this morning from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Good morning, welcome, and our condolences to you.
Thank you.
Certainly most people were aware of John as an entertainer and as one who fought for the environment. What do you suppose was his philosophy about saving our country?
John was deeply committed to caring for the environment. His commitment and his concern really manifested in all dimensions of his life. He believed in people taking responsible action. He really believed in people getting outside into the natural world themselves, whereas he sang about the environment and really expressed eloquently and authentically his commitment and his love for the living world. For him, nothing replaced each one of us really getting outside under the stars.
I know that WinStar was very important to him as well. Tell us how he came to found WinStar, and certainly the gift he gave of land to the country was huge.
John founded or established the WinStar Foundation in 1976 with his good friend Tom Crum. John had a dream really ever since he was a little boy. He spent an enormous amount of time outside. I think in many ways he felt that nature was his first best friend, and He told us often that as a child he had a dream that someplace there would be a place for people to gather, a time and a place for people to nourish one another, to learn about the earth, and really to wrestle with some of the most difficult problems facing us all. At a time then when I think he was perhaps the #1 recording artist in the world, he was able to buy 1,000 acres near Aspen in Colorado. He donated that land to the WinStar Foundation. In the last year, with the help of our friends at the Rocky Mountain Institute and the National Wildlife Federation, we, the WinStar Foundation, collaborated with those other organizations that have now created the WinStar Land Conservancy. I actually serve as president of that, and John was serving as vice president, Hunter and Amory Lovins as secretary-treasurer, and a man named Bill Howard as a member at large. I name all these folks because they're representative of all the people who made it possible to work with John to accomplish something like this. But this 1,000 acres in this particular area of Colorado is critical for the elk. It's critical for its ecological values, its educational values, and that 1,000 acres is just one example of the many ways that John worked to protect and improve the quality of life.
He left so much with his music behind. Do you suppose the legacy he left with the environment and the land for WinStar was even greater to him?
Oh, you know, the land was important. I would tell you, though, that 1,000 acres was, in the big picture, although important, still relatively small. What mattered to John was doing everything he could to live as authentically as he could and to touch people throughout the world. I mean, in the last few weeks, we were talking about how good we felt that the WinStar land is taken care of, and we were talking about, by virtue of that having been accomplished, we could once again shift the WinStar Foundation's focus to the whole of the earth, to the earth as our home. And we're talking about ways to once again reconnect young people, children, with the living world, with the environment. So land anywhere was important. John was spending a lot of time in the last few weeks and months working on some film projects that had to do with being a voice for the wilderness. And he'd been filming in Alaska with caribou, with wild horses in Montana, on the Colorado River. And yet he would say to me, you know, those wild places are so special and so important, but it matters to have people look outside wherever they live, to, you know, to love the wonder of a geranium in New York. It mattered not. It was, what really mattered was never to take for granted the life that supports us all.
When you were working with him, filming with him, co-writing with him, was he the same person that we all saw, the public persona and the private one? Were they similar?
John was, I can't think of anybody more authentic. I mean, he really was an example of what you see is what you get. His spontaneity, his love of life, his genuine respect for people that conveyed in the ways in which he treated folks, he was that way. He would get excited about something on stage. He'd get excited about something at home. He was just such a wonderful human.
We were just seeing a picture of you, your husband, and John. He was wearing the hugest grin. Is that the way you want to remember him, with that big Colorado smile?
Sure.
Certainly he will be missed. Cheryl Charles, we thank you so much for sharing your time and your thoughts on John Denver.
Thank you.
Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high.
What would you give to be more confident? What would you give for the knowledge it takes to move with certainty through every business day?
Just $3.90 a week brings you the Wall Street Journal. Our personal finance guide and decision maker software is free with your paid 10-week subscription. Call now, 800-255-2900. That's 800-255-2900 for the Wall Street Journal.
A message about heartburn from the American College of Gastroenterology.
If you have heartburn more than twice a week, it may not be simple heartburn. You may have a more serious condition called reflux disease or GERD. My advice? If you have frequent heartburn or still have symptoms on your over-the-counter or prescription medicine, see your doctor or gastrointestinal specialist. They can help you live pain-free.
To learn more about heartburn and GERD, call 1-800-HRT-BURN.
Sleep deprivation. 70 million Americans have experienced it, but you don't have to. Try Maximum Strength Sleep and All Soft Gels with the sleep aid preferred by 7 out of 10 doctors. Sleep and All Soft Gels help you fall asleep fast.
I can't get my kids to eat right. All they want is junk food. One way to give them extra nutrition is with rich chocolate Ovaltine. It's got vitamins Nestle Quick and Hershey syrup don't.
Rich chocolate Ovaltine tastes great. Great for you.
More Ovaltine, please!
On this job, my feet sweat, smell, and itch so bad, nothing helps.
Introducing Gold Bond Medicated Foot Powder. 3 foot relievers in 1. Only Gold Bond absorbs moisture, controls odor with baking soda, and stops foot itch. New Gold Bond Medicated Foot Powder.
Finally, something that really helps.
Nobody needs a breath mint like you-know-who. Good thing there's Clorox Automatic Toilet Cleaner with Clorox Bleach. Every flush fights stains and deodorizes. Clorox Automatic. A breath mint for you-know-who.
It's food, glorious food. Martha Stewart whips up some special treats, and you can bet they're from the wonderful world of chocolate. Also, food cravings from sweet to salty. Why do you desire? Can't live without? That certain taste that's guaranteed to bring a smile to your face. Find out what cravings are all about and your latest weather.
Coming up on This Morning.
CBS Eye on People, available on cable and satellite.
Practicing medicine here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, I know there's more to this morning.
A quick look at your forecast shows scattered showers from Washington to western Montana. Showers and isolated thunderstorms from the northeast through the Gulf Coast and in Florida.
The largest El Niño in years is already being blamed for Hurricanes Nora and Pauline, and for plenty more weird weather up and down the Pacific coast. Today is El Niño Summit Day in Santa Monica, California. The summit, sponsored by the White House, will focus on ways to deal with a host of problems El Niño might cause. But it doesn't take any summit for animal lovers to take action to protect their pets from these strange weather patterns. Liz Purcell reports.
No matter how devoted and caring owners are, pets can get lost. That's why Mark Grinley's dog Bo has a microchip implanted in his shoulder.
A friend is a vet. He recommended it, so we put it in when he was just a pup.
The microchip is a tiny sliver of high technology that holds the key to an animal's identity.
It's a permanent type of identification that is always going to be there.
Every animal at the San Diego Humane Society gets a microchip implanted.
What we do is we inject it underneath the skin, just like if we were vaccinating the animal.
The animal is registered, and the number on file matches the number on the chip. Animal experts say the microchip is a good idea for owners who take El Niño warnings seriously.
If animals get lost in a disaster situation, we can scan the animal's shoulder and get a number. If that number is registered, we can immediately identify the animal.
All of the county's animal shelters have scanners that can read the tiny chips.
Like many dogs, Bo has a collar. Now, a lot of owners think that's enough, but the experts say you need more, and a microchip is foolproof.
Collars and tags can disappear. The chip stays.
That's pretty good, actually. It's a good idea.
I just think it's cruel to animals. It's nice to see a family that finds its long-lost dog, or someone who's been putting posters over the neighborhood, and here they can find that little dog down at the shelter because they have a microchip, and it's a fairly inexpensive way to keep your pet.
Bo has no idea he's a high-tech canine. Liz Purcell for CBS News.
Now ready for El Niño. Well, no matter where you live, you could soon be feeling the impact of this weather phenomenon. CBS News economics correspondent Ray Brady has our forecast.
Well, the West Coast is digging in for the wind, water, and general bad weather of El Niño. There's a strong chance that all Americans had better brace for a different blow from El Niño. Higher prices at the supermarket. In the Chicago commodity pits, where they trade wheat, soybeans, and other foodstuffs, all eyes are on the board, the weather board, because the last time El Niño hit, in 1982-83, the weather changed so much. Wheat went up 18%, corn rose 78%, and soybeans up 91%. And while El Niño already has brought drought to El Salvador and floods in Chile, one problem for Americans may be these tied-up South American fishing boats. El Niño's moving current of warm water has swept their usual catch, millions of tons of anchovies, far out to sea. And that's what could raise U.S. food prices. Farmers use those anchovies as fish meal for cattle. If they have to buy soybeans instead, up go soybean prices, usually followed by wheat. That brings higher cattle prices and higher prices at the meat counter.
Even if food prices do go up, there may be one break for at least some Americans. In the Northeast, predictions are the winter will be mild, which could hold down the price of home heating oil and natural gas. Ray Brady, CBS News, New York.
Far from the Northeast, in the Nevada desert, a jet-powered car broke the sound barrier twice yesterday on land, but missed an official record by just 1 minute. The British car traveled in excess of 760 miles per hour both times, but the two runs came more than an hour apart, and under race rules, a car must complete 2 record-breaking runs within 1 hour. In baseball now, where there is no clock, the Baltimore Orioles are bringing the American League Championship home for Game 6, breaking Cleveland's spell of 3 games in a row won by a single run. With the Indians' 1 win from the World Series, Geronimo Barroa singles in a pair of runs in the 3rd inning, getting the Orioles started in Game 5. Roberto Alomar was caught trying to get to third base. He's a sitting duck right there. Chet Kamenicki threw 5 scoreless innings, though, at the Indians. Kamenicki begins with K, and so does Key, as in Jimmy Key. They rang up 7 Ks. That's your baseball term for strikeouts, you neophytes, Nika. In the 9th, Eric Davis administers a pinch hit home run. Davis has continued his chemotherapy treatments for intestinal cancer during the series. Before the 9th ended, Cal Ripken Jr. adds a run-scoring single. It was 4-0. That proves to be key. Now, Randall K. Myers got 1 strike in the 9th, but the Indians got the tying run to second base before Myers got Omar Vizquel to ground out. We go to Baltimore. Roberto, not Cleveland's hero, Sandy Alomar, ended this one from second base. Baltimore wins it 4-2.
Don't know who to choose for governor? You know you don't agree with them on anything, so why are you voting for them? Don't waste your vote on Whitman or McGreevey. There's a better choice. Murray Sabrin. New ideas for New Jersey. Lower car insurance through deregulation, more competition, and an end to no-fault. Sabrin. More tax cuts, reduce welfare benefits, less spending. Whitman and McGreevey. Not a dime's worth of difference between them. Sabrin for governor. Finally, someone worth voting for.
Next time on Martha Stewart Living.
Gardeners are always looking for something new and different.
Visit a nursery that caters to the good life.
I would like to sit down with you, have some prosciutto and figs, and a glass of wine.
Why not?
And a whole new way to serve onion rings.
Somehow elevating onion rings to tempura onion rings makes them more of an art form.
On the next Martha Stewart Living.
This morning at 9, right here on CBS 2.
You're out there fronting, making moves with no one understands you, right? Yeah, we know.
I think you are losing money for some free.
I gave some other covenant. You want to do me a favor? You want to sell some crack?
Get
out of my class. You're not going to get a job.
Never disrespect me. Hear me?
Never. Stop fronting. You need some help on the down low, someone to talk to on the real. Give yourself a chance. Call 1-800-999-9999.
Covenant House.
Call now, all right?
I was 17 years old when I found out. I didn't know what to do. They've taught me how to take medications and how to take control of my body and my life so that I can live with AIDS and not die, because that's what's going on now. I'm not dying from AIDS. I'm living with AIDS. One of the most important things that I've learned is that I can't waste time.
"7 Years in Tibet," this week's #2 at the box office, probably would not have been made had Brad Pitt not agreed to star in it. The movie's producers know that he's a big enough draw to bring in a far wider audience than this movie would have otherwise attracted. No question about that. But what sort of actor is Brad Pitt? Our entertainment editor, Dennis Cunningham, looks at the movie and its star.
The movie, 7 Years in Tibet, based on a true story and one of several Tibet movies heading our way. There's a Richard Gere one coming up. There's a Martin Scorsese director one coming up. As for this one and its star, Brad Pitt, seems to me he does a commendable job, as he often does. Most of the time he does a commendable job in this one, just not the times when the script of this movie lets him down or when the acting challenge is too much for his still developing talents. After all, he himself is, for the first time, carrying a movie.
So you put your life at risk. I saved it, so shut up.
It's not your place.
Shut up.
Brad Pitt is a selfish and arrogant Austrian mountaineer who will find his humanity after he and friend, actor David Thewlis, slip into the Tibetan city of Lhasa and eventually become fully involved with the Tibetan government and become friends with the young Dalai Lama, all of which, covering 7 years, eventually involves them with the Chinese invasion of Tibet. By the end of the film, he has had a mighty adventure and has fully become a compassionate and sensitive human being.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes.
Hey.
Tell me more.
What else do you want to know?
Of course, it is the Brad Pitt character who really learns the most from the Tibetans. Directed by Jean-Jacques Annaud, emphasizing epic vistas more than humanity, still a final 6, a positive number, don't you think? More finally, Brad Pitt, unlike many another movie star, it seems to me really is an actor, just in a stage of development at the moment, but unafraid of challenge and a natural. He's got the right stuff. I'm Dennis Cunningham, CBS News, up to the minute.
I don't remember him in the right stuff.
I don't either.
Huh.
But a 6 is good, a good start from Dennis.
Well, he's in development.
Yeah.
As are we.
Yeah,
You're watching Up to the Minute.
Is this a Nazi war criminal who helped kill over 1,000 children and continued his research after the war? See how it happened tonight on the CBS Evening News.
It is 30 minutes past the hour.
Coming up later this half hour on CBS News Up to the Minute. Now you can play your favorite board games on your computer.
Ooh, Up to the Minute computer consultant John Quain shows us how. Should be fun.
Should be.
I'll beat you.
You think so?
But first, let's take a look at some of this morning's top stories.
Colorado has carried out its first execution in 30 years. 53-year-old Gary Lee Davis was put to death by lethal injection last night. Davis was convicted of the rape and murder of a mother abducted in front of her 2 young children in 1986.
Off the California coast, federal investigators are trying to figure out what caused the plane crash that killed singer John Denver. Officials say the experimental plane was about 500 feet in the air when the engine quit, and then the plane plunged into the water.
In Mexico, the military has taken over the hurricane relief efforts. Soldiers took charge yesterday after victims of Hurricane Pauline complained they weren't getting the tons of donated food, clothing, and medicine. Hundreds of people were killed in the storm. Mexican officials say the final death toll could top 400.
President Clinton is in Brazil this morning, the second stop of his week-long visit to South America. Last night, Mr. Clinton attended a state dinner hosted by Brazilian President Fernando Henrique Cardoso. Today, Mr. Clinton plans to visit Sao Paulo, Brazil's bustling financial and industrial center.
In Little Rock, Arkansas, depositions got underway yesterday in the Paula Jones sexual harassment suit against President Clinton. Jones and her husband accompanied her mother to the law offices of Mr. Clinton's attorneys. Jones' mother's deposition was expected to detail what Jones told her about the alleged 1991 hotel room encounter with then Governor Bill Clinton.
In the Nevada desert, a jet-powered car broke the sound barrier twice on land yesterday, but missed an official record by just 1 minute. The British car traveled in excess of 760 miles per hour both times, but 2 runs came more than an hour apart. Under race rules, a car must complete 2 record-breaking runs within an hour.
An investigation is underway this morning into the cause of the deadliest bus crash in Canada in recent memory. At least 43 senior citizens were killed yesterday. Their tour bus plunged into a ravine in central Quebec. Lynn Robeson of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation has our story.
Emergency crews and neighbors struggled to deal with the enormity of what they found at the bottom of this ravine, trying to sort the living from the dead in the mess of twisted metal. Some people were still alive as we pulled them out, says this man. 5 survivors were taken to the hospital in Baie-Saint-Paul, the dead to a temporary morgue in La Malbaie.
Ma mère puis 2 de mes tantes sont décédées.
I lost my mother and 2 aunts, he says. 43 people died before the day was over. A few have still not been identified. And police haven't had enough time either to figure out exactly what happened. Accident reconstruction crews will work around the clock. They'll pay special attention to the brakes on the bus. The police measurements will tell us the speed, angle, and possibly if the brakes were working, he says. But many people here don't need forensic evidence to know what happened. They say simply, the hill is dangerous. 3 months ago, the local mayor asked the provincial government to improve the road or put in stop signs. We asked, but it was too late, he says. At least too late for 1 busload of senior citizens out for a day in the country. Already, the government promises there will be a public inquiry into the crash. Lynn Robson, CBC News, Saint-Joseph-de-la-Rive.
Scotland has offered to let international monitors witness a Scottish trial of 2 Libyans suspected in the 1988 bombing of Pan Am Flight 103. Scotland made the offer yesterday before the International Court of Justice in The Hague. The 2 Libyan agents were indicted in 1992 by Britain and the U.S., but Libya has refused to extradite them, saying a fair trial would be impossible. For the first time in 76 years, a British leader has met face-to-face with a representative of the political wing of the Irish Republican Army. Prime Minister Tony Blair's handshake yesterday with Sinn Féin President Gerry Adams drew an angry response from many Protestants in Northern Ireland. Gary Honeyford of British Sky News reports.
Uncomfortable moments which will have left the Prime Minister in no doubt about the size of the task here. He talked about leaving behind the old ways, but was treated to a sample of remaining division. His sin in the protesters' eyes to have shaken the hand of Gerry Adams.
He has the blood of innocent people on his hands, Gerry Adams, and there's no way we want a Prime Minister like that in Northern Ireland.
Mr Blair's meeting in private with Gerry Adams was the first between a British Prime Minister and a Sinn Féin leader for more than 70 years. The simple gesture, a token of movement in the peace process.
I treated Gerry Adams and the members of Sinn Féin in the same way that I treat any human being. And I think what is important about the situation here in Northern Ireland is that we do actually treat each other as human beings, and that we have a very simple choice. We can either carry on with the hatred and the despair and the killing, treating people as if they weren't parts of humanity, or we can try and settle our differences by negotiation, by discussion, by debate.
We want him to be the last British Prime Minister with jurisdiction in Ireland. And I would like to see today's meeting as being one of a series of such engagements as we seek to forge a partnership between democratic opinion here in Ireland and democratic opinion in Britain.
But Unionists are still deeply suspicious of Sinn Féin's intentions.
We asked the Prime Minister to make it absolutely clear to Sinn Féin that there would be no third chance for them, and that in the event of their failing to keep the peace and commit themselves to the democratic process, then there would be an appropriate response that would be made.
The Prime Minister's message of prosperity flowing from peace was well received by most of those he met. But he left in no doubt that there are elements here who vociferously question the means of getting there. Gary Honeyford, Sky News, Belfast.
Israel has freed 9 more Arab prisoners in the wake of its recent bungled attempt on the life of Hamas political prisoner Khalid Mashal in Jordan. The 9 men, all Jordanians, were flown to Jordan by helicopter yesterday. Meanwhile, Hamas activists dressed as suicide bombers marched in a display of triumph in the West Bank town of Nablus. Aircraft aboard the U.S. aircraft carrier USS Nimitz have begun operations as part of the mission to fly and enforce the no-fly zone over southern Iraq. The Nimitz arrived in the Persian Gulf Sunday in response to a recent escalation of tensions in the region. Iranian warplanes bombed 2 insurgent bases in southern Iraq late last month. In response, Iraq sent 2 of its fighters in pursuit, further violating the restricted area.
12 years after it was attacked by a man who threw acid on it and slashed it with a knife, one of Rembrandt's masterpieces is back on display in Russia. The Niño was unveiled yesterday at the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. More than a quarter of the painting was damaged in the 1985 attack, and full restoration was not possible. The painting is now behind bulletproof glass.
Well, coming up, computer consultant John Quain shows us how to play some of our favorite board games without the boards.
I challenge you. And the story of how a now retired CIA agent helped 6 American diplomats escape Iran.
Lights, camera, cover story for the 6 Americans.
Mix 1 packet Hidden Valley Ranch with 1 stick soft butter and spread over 2 loaves French bread. Grill. Dive in. Hidden Valley Ranch. 1 packet, endless possibilities.
Sleep deprivation. 70 million Americans have experienced it, but you don't have to. Try Maximum Strength Sleep and All Soft Gels with the sleep aid preferred by 7 out of 10 doctors. Sleep and All Soft Gels help you fall asleep fast.
I coach a soccer team. I like to play with them. I couldn't keep up. I knew I had to lose weight, and I've just lost 26.5 pounds on the Slim Fast plan. The can is just real convenient. You take it, you pop it, and you drink it. Slim Fast just really tastes good, and I was surprised at that. It's not just a diet drink, it's an energy drink.
With 23 vitamins and minerals, protein, calcium, fiber, all the balanced nutrition like a healthy meal.
When I'm running on the field with the kids, I can keep up with them. Like, I'm okay.
Slim Fast, balanced nutrition for a healthy life.
It's great.
Looking for historically high-performing mutual funds? You'll find lots of them and more right here. Mutual Fund OneSource from Schwab. 600 funds, no loads. Call for the select list free or get it all online at schwab.com right now. This is investing the way it should be.
A new look at race relations in America will follow one man's journey to one of America's most segregated cities tomorrow on Up to the Minute.
Think your dog won't bite? These people thought the same thing.
You didn't have the sense that these dogs were out of control.
Then their pets killed little Christopher.
But I can just imagine the pain.
And now, in a first-time ever case, the dog's owners are charged with murder.
Did you train these dogs to attack?
Public Eye, CBS Wednesday.
Is this a Nazi war criminal who helped kill over 1,000 children? The story tonight.
They are a staple of family life, at least they were at my house. Monopoly, Scrabble, Pictionary. Now there's a new way to enjoy board games like these on your computer. You can't lose the pieces, Dad, and you don't have to be in the same room with your opponents. We are playing digital board games on this morning's DigiFix. UTTM Good Sport John Quain is back with us. We'll see how good a sport you are after I beat you at this. We're playing, what, Pictionary first? I'm excited here.
You know, board games, you think kids today, how do you get them interested in a board game? They're not going to pick up a board game. They want computer games and stuff. So what they've done is they've taken those traditional board games and put them on CD-ROM so you can play them on the computer. The first one we're going to look at is called Pictionary. I'm not such a great fan of Pictionary, but none of my friends are. They make me play it every once in a while. I always think of it like charades. This is Pictionary here. What they've done is added 6 automated games you can play against the computer if you want. This one you just stop the blocks. It's a full-color illustration, and you try and guess what the object is. And if you're really good, you get braces.
Oh, who would have figured that in 3 turns?
Maybe I've tried it before, okay? This one, it's a series of drawings. The computer starts drawing it, and you have to guess what it is. Water bug, okay? They're usually related. There is an extra challenge in this. While we're watching me rack up the points, there's also a stage at which you can draw your own pictures. So if you want to play with a group of people, you can do that as well. I found that to be pretty darn challenging because you have to use the mouse to draw these.
It's like the
I have enough trouble.
Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah, exactly. It's Etch-a-Sketch Pictionary. It's exactly what I was going to say. I have enough trouble drawing them with a paper and pen. This is called the picker tape. You match up the word, obviously, with the image. It's pretty easy. I would think that younger players might enjoy that. And finally, you can play this over the internet. If you want to play against people, you can play over the internet, naturally. So, Now I guess we should
yeah, we should go right ahead and rate this one. But you said you aren't a big Pictionary fan,
I'm not a big Pictionary fan, but and I didn't.
6.
That's 6 for sound and graphics. For ease of use, a 5. Narration gets a little annoying at times, and worthwhile, 6. I didn't feel it translated as well from that typical traditional game to the electronic medium.
A lot of it could have to do with that mouse, too. You know, if you can't draw in the first place, how are you going to draw with your
I was not doing well in that game.
Okay, so what do you got for us now that you did do well at?
Okay, the next one is Scrabble, much more traditional game. Favorite of my Aunt Lois out there. She loves.
Favorite of my folks, too. Maybe we'll get them hooked
Scrabble.
up on the internet. They can play
You
each other.
can do that. You can play this over the internet if you like, or you can play against the computer as well. It has artificial intelligence. I don't know how smart it was. It always beat me, but I'm not very good at Scrabble, I have to admit.
You and I aren't exactly the...
There are different levels, though. You can set this up for different difficulty levels. When you get a full word, your word turns gold. If you get it wrong, it explodes and disappears off the board. There's a very tempting little feature of this. It's called hints as well. But the hint tells you where you could put a word from what you've got there from your...
Oh, well, that's no fun.
I know. Well, a lot of people complained it's too tempting. I'll just cheat every time. One thing.
Well, wouldn't the other person know that you've hinted?
Well, you're playing against the computer. They're none the wiser. But one thing I know is somebody pointed out when we were playing this. They pointed out I had memorized what the wood looked like on the back of the letter Z. You know, for an opponent, so you knew they had. You can't do that here. You know, obviously you don't get to do those.
There's a way around that, but that's neither here nor
So there
there.
are some disadvantages to this. Anyway, I thought it did better at translating to the electronic medium Scrabble. If you're a fan, Windows 95, Macintosh computers runs on them all.
Okay, throw the ratings up there.
All right, for ratings, sound, and graphics, give it a 6. For ease of use, a 6, and for worthwhile, a 7. If you're a Scrabble fan, I think you should get it. It's got the official Scrabble dictionary tied into it as well. You can always check and make it more and more difficult. Just
come up with those 2-letter words that nobody seems to know but my mom.
Exactly,
okay. Gotcha.
exactly.
Okay, third game up.
Okay, the third one was my favorite. Played it for hours and hours this past weekend with friends. Monopoly on CD-ROM. Now, it may not look that great as we see it here on your TV screen, but the little animations I thought were pretty cute. It's got the original pieces. See that?
That's great. I always wanted to be the car.
I never had the original pieces. It plays just like you would on the board game. You can adjust the rules if you want. My car goes off. I land in jail a few times, I think. The only thing I didn't
like
about
life, right?
Yeah, if you go in jail, you see who's in jail as well. When you buy properties, you can tell what they look like. You can add hotels, houses, just like the board game. And it keeps track of where you are and all the players on the screen. We were just, a producer and I were just playing here. This is a nice property, it says for sale. Boardwalk and Park Place didn't work as well. We had a suspicion, too, that when you rolled the dice, the computer rolls the dice for you, that every time you would land in between Boardwalk and Park Place on luxury tax. I don't know, maybe it was just the game we were playing. But I thought this worked very, very well. We played it for hours and hours and hours. I put it on a laptop computer and dragged it out.
There you go. Okay, you and Mr. Moneybags rate this one for me?
Yeah, that's okay. Bill Gates' favorite game, Monopoly, sound and graphics, 7. And for ease of use, a 7. Worthwhile, an 8. Maybe it's because Monopoly is a great analogy for life, so it translates well onto the electronic medium. I don't know, but I liked it.
It was a good game then. I guess it's a good game now.
Yeah, and there's a cheat button, too. You can change the rules. You can cheat, even.
There's other games out there, I'm sure, besides these 3, though.
There are a lot of board games now being translated onto CD-ROM. Absolutely. Risk is another one that's come out. Clue you might find in stores as well.
We mentioned Clue a couple of weeks ago on the program here.
Yeah, so but Monopoly is the one, I think.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
John, thanks for dropping by, and after work, maybe we can hook up and do a couple of rounds.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. For a summary of this morning's DigiPick, you can visit our website. The address is uttm.com. No games there. You can send us mail, though. The address for that, mail@uttm.com.
Guys, check this out. If Charlie Brown and the Peanuts gang are looking for the Great Pumpkin this year, they might want to travel to Wilmington, California. The city is host to what's being billed as the world's largest jack-o'-lantern. There it is.
It's huge.
Okay, it's not a pumpkin, Rick. Don't get too excited.
I was getting hungry.
It's the oil company Unical. It's painted a storage tank with Halloween colors. Took about 100 gallons of orange paint, 10 gallons of black, and 3 gallons of white. The company plans to eliminate Smiling Jack through Halloween. What a nice idea. I like that a lot. Like that, Rick?
I do like that.
Dick, you?
How many pies could you get out of there?
Many, many,
John
many.
doesn't like it. John took his mic off.
All right,
many?
stay with us.
Okay.
Many, many.
Stick around.
It's in a jar, in the car, in a drawer, on the floor. It's all over the place. So where's your loose change? Well, it's time to cash in with the Money Wrapper, the automated coin machine that sorts, stacks, counts, and wraps your loose change in one easy step. You simply drop a handful of loose change into the Money Wrapper and watch. First, it switches on automatically. The Money Wrapper starts to spin and separates the coins. Then they're down the chute where they're sorted. Pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. Each coin drops into its own removable tube where it's stacked and counted. It's that simple. You just place the coin wrapper in the bank, and each counted coin is automatically wrapped by the Money Wrapper. Now it's a breeze to turn loose change into hard cash. And when it's all done, the Money Wrapper shuts off by itself, and you're left with sorted, stacked, counted, and wrapped piles of money. It's real money. Stop throwing it away. Just drop it in the Money Wrapper, and it does the rest. Neat, clean rolls of coins, sorted, stacked, counted, and wrapped at a rate of hundreds of coins per minute. So sit back and count your cash. And that's not all. When it's time to cash in, you simply pull the lever, and the coins pop out in their neat stacks. So call and get your Money Wrapper today, the precision automated bank that sorts, stacks, counts, and wraps your loose change. And now, at the incredible breakthrough price of only $24.95. Heads or tails, you win! So stop throwing your money away and start growing your money today. The Money Wrapper. It's fast, accurate, convenient, even fun. It's a great way to get that loose change all wrapped up. The Money Wrapper. It makes perfect sense.
Call 1-800-207-5353 to order your Money Wrapper for $24.95 plus $5.95 shipping and handling, or send check or money order to Money Wrapper, 60 East Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island, or call 1-800-207-5353. That's 1-800-207-5353.
I can't get my kids to eat right. All they want is junk food. One way to give them extra nutrition is with rich chocolate Ovaltine.
It's got vitamins Nestle Quick and Hershey syrup don't.
Rich chocolate Ovaltine tastes great. Great for you.
More Ovaltine, please!
Now there's a new way to prevent and treat diaper rash. Medicated Gold Bond Cornstarch Plus Baby Powder. Only Cornstarch Plus has triple action with cornstarch to absorb, kaolin to soothe, and zinc oxide to protect against wetness. New Gold Bond Cornstarch Plus. More than a baby powder. It's medication.
Here's your up-to-the-minute forecast. Scattered showers in the northwest. Showers with isolated thunderstorms from the northeast to the Gulf Coast and in Florida. Partly cloudy in the plains. High temps will be in the 40s and 50s in the Rockies and from the northern plains to the Ohio Valley. 60s in the northwest and New England. 70s and 80s along the east coast.
In this morning's Eye on America, one of the CIA's most closely held secrets is finally revealed after a generation under wraps. The agency's master of disguises discloses for the first time how he engineered the daring escape of Americans trapped in Iran. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin talked with him.
1979. Iranian revolutionaries stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and took 52 Americans hostage. Never had the United States seemed so helpless. But as the mob came over the wall, 6 American diplomats climbed through a back window and hid out in a house belonging to the Canadian Embassy. Tony Mendez, the CIA's master of disguise, got the call to sneak the 6 out of Iran.
And I got the message that says, the president has approved your mission. Good luck, you know. It's the only time it ever happened in my career.
Marooned in a country vowing death to Americans, the 6 diplomats needed a disguise good enough to convince the Iranians they were not diplomats at all, but were in Iran for an entirely different reason.
What kind of reason would 6 or 8 Americans have for being in Tehran at this point in history? I mean, it'd have to be insane.
Now retired, the CIA's Mendez tells for the first time how he gave the Americans new identities so they could hide in plain sight.
And all of a sudden it occurred to me that a motion picture location scouting party would go anywhere in the world they needed to go to find the right hill.
So Mendez created a major motion picture and advertised it in Variety.
I sketched a logo for our movie on a yellow line pad.
Lights, camera, cover story for the 6 Americans.
A cosmic conflagration from a story by Teresa Harris.
Cora Lijek, one of the 6, was cast in the role of Teresa Harris. Until now, she has never told the story.
I was the writer. I had written a screenplay for a movie.
Her husband Mark was cast as the movie's transportation chief.
We were told that if somebody tried to check our bona fides by phone, that they would get confirmation from somebody in Hollywood that, yes, there was a production company.
We had telephones, typewriters, secretaries, paper clips, everything you needed.
Everything but confidence that 6 scared novices could pull it off.
These were not clandestine operatives. These were innocent American diplomats who had no experience, skulking around through the alleyways of the world.
So Mendez and another CIA officer went into Tehran disguised as members of the film crew.
He had a bit of the con man to him. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want to buy a used car from him,
Mendez had come to con the Americans into believing they could play the role of a lifetime.
It seems like you're dealing with exact opposites. Bureaucrats, Hollywood film crew. Exactly. How do you loosen up bureaucrats to be Hollywood film crew? Everybody wants to be a movie star.
But they still had to get through the airport to catch a plane for home.
Walking into the airport was really scary, being in a public place after almost 3 months of most of the time being in a house.
If somebody who really knew about movies started asking me what I was doing, it would become pretty clear that I didn't have the foggiest idea.
Mendez had chosen an early morning Swiss Air flight, hoping to catch the guard at the immigration counter at his sleepiest.
He took our papers and he disappeared. He'd gone back to the cup of tea, we discovered. So that was kind of nerve-wracking.
And then we hear an announcement that the Swiss Air flight is going to be delayed because of mechanical problems. And all of a sudden everybody's face goes,
But it really was a mechanical delay, and after a couple of long plane rides, the 6 returned home to a tumultuous welcome. Mendez was nowhere to be seen.
Sort of develop a mentality in our business where you consider success to be the fact that nobody knew. Nobody will ever know.
Until now. Almost 20 years later, the CIA has publicly recognized Mendez and allowed him to tell this one story. But there are others.
It's sort of a nice, warm, powerful feeling to be able to make a cover that will sustain it, the test of time.
These days, Tony Mendez spends his time creating art, works he wants people to notice. But his greatest works were the ones no one noticed. In Knoxville, Maryland, this is David Martin for Eye on America.
Don't know who to choose for governor? You know you don't agree with them on anything, so why are you voting for them? Don't waste your vote on Whitman or McGreevey. There's a better choice. Murray Sabrin. New ideas for New Jersey. Lower car insurance through deregulation, more competition, and an end to no-fault. Sabrin. More tax cuts, reduce welfare benefits, less spending. Whitman and McGreevey. Not a dime's worth of difference between them. Sabrin for governor. Finally, someone worth voting for.
Hi, I'm Vicki. Here at Jayhawk, we finance cosmetic surgery for over 1,000 doctors throughout the United States. Now, we don't do the surgery, we make the surgery affordable. We finance cosmetic dentistry, liposuction, laser eye surgery, breast augmentation, hair transplants, and lots more. Call us now at 1-800-JAYHAWK or ask your doctor about Jayhawk Finance. Finally, financing for cosmetic surgery.
That's 1-800-JAYHWK.
I went to the bank. They said, well, your stepmother was here closing all of the accounts.
Svetlana Fisher claims her stepmother, Reza, took all the money when her father passed away.
My mother was the one who took my dad to the hospital when he died, not her.
It was my card. I know you've got it in your head. That's community property.
Right.
Wrong.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Today at 4 here on CBS 2.
Begins with a bump, 2 brothers clash, a glare, an angry stare. The danger heats up. They imagine the worst, and the brothers choose peace. This is Jacob's dream. This is Jacob.
I led a life of violence which led to a life of destruction. I was addicted to violence. I thought I wasn't afraid to die until the bullets and the knives woke me up. What will it take to wake you up? It's in your hands. It's in your hands to choose to defuse.
You're back with CBS News Up to the Minute. Today is Tuesday, October 14th.
And it was on this day in 1964, civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. won the Nobel Peace Prize. In 1960, Democratic presidential candidate John F. Kennedy told students at the University of Michigan what they could do for their country. He proposed they join a new organization called the Peace Corps. Kennedy called them to make much more of an effort to contribute their time and knowledge to people around the world. Since then, some 150,000 Americans have volunteered for the Peace Corps in 132 countries.
And 50 years ago today, another American achievement, pilot Chuck Yeager breaks the sound barrier. CBS News correspondent Walter Cronkite looked back at the record-breaking moments.
October 14, 1947, Edwards Air Force Base. The XS-1 rocket ship drops from the belly of a B-29 bomber. Captain Chuck Yeager opens the supersonic age, the first human to fly faster than the speed of sound, 760 miles per hour at sea level. His achievements established the skill and prestige of Edwards test pilots. Today at Edwards, Colonel Yeager talks to this reporter about the first time he slipped past the sound barrier.
On this particular day, October the 14th, 1947, as I recall back, I knew we were going to get up above the speed of sound because we were so close and the airplane was responding all right that I didn't think anything could happen. We were elated, of course, but not like a lot of people think, because a research program is a grind and it's hard work, and you just look at it, well, there's another job done, and press on to something else.
Yeager would go on to break the sound barrier more than a dozen times before the Air Force finally went public with his accomplishment.
And on this day in 1974, the world mourned the loss of a television great. Ed Sullivan's Sunday night TV show on CBS had been an institution, especially because of his eye for talent.
The Beatles! Close your eyes.
Sullivan was the first to bring the Beatles, Elvis Presley, and a young comedian named Bill Cosby into American living rooms. He admitted he had no particular talent himself except as a host, a showman, and a friend. That was Topo Gigio, right?
Yeah, I think so. He had an eye for talent, that's for sure.
Yeah, and of course now the late night show with David Letterman is in the Ed Sullivan Theater right up the road on Broadway.
You're right about that. That is This Day in History.
Thanks for joining us.
CBS, welcome home.